Thanks for being with me. It's great to see you again. This Mishnah text and translation is perhaps my favorite in Pirkei Avot. Avot 2:7, Avot Vav Zion, is an amazing Mishnah text that is concerned principally with an excessive desire to acquire or possess more material wealth than one actually needs. It's dealing with more or less reprehensible acquisitiveness, or an insatiable desire for wealth, which is essentially one of the deadly sins, and it deals with it eloquently. You can download a PDF copy of the Mishnah text and translation at the link just below the video window, so I encourage you to do that. Avot 2:7, Avot Vav Zion, Hu Yamer, he used to say, Marba Basur, the more flesh, Marba Rima, the more worms. Marba Nechosim, the more possessions you have, Marba the Agah, the more worry you're going to have. Marba Nashim, the more wives you have, Marba Nishafim, the more magic you're going to have to deal with in sorcery. Marba Shefachot, the more maid-servants you have. Marba Zima, the more unchastity or carnal kinds of things are going to take place. Marba Avodim, the more men-servants you have. Marba Gazelle, the more thieves and robbers you're going to have to contend with. Marba Torah, the more Torah you have in your life. Marba Chaim, the more life you will attain. You'll have more life. Marba Yeshiva, the more time you spend in school, in the academy, studying. Marba Chuchma, the more wisdom you attain, the more wisdom you'll have. Marba Eitzah, the more counsel you have. Eitzah, counsel. Marba Tavuna, the more understanding you have. Tavuna. Marba Tzedakah, the more charity you demonstrate. Marba Shalom, the more peace you'll have within. Shalom, peace. Kanashem Tov, he who acquires a good name, Konaliatzmo, acquires it for himself. Kanalo divrei Torah, he who acquires the words of Torah, Kanalo chaye ha'olam haba, acquires for himself life in the world to come. It's a beautiful Mishnah text. Hu ha'yamer marba basur, marba rima, marba nechasim, marba dega, marba nashim, marba chashafim, marba shefachod, marba zima, marba avadim, marba gazelle, Marba Torah, Marba Chaim, Marba Yeshavi, Marba Chachma, Marba Eitzah, Marba Tavuna, Marba Tzedakah, Marba Shalom. Kanashem Tov, he who acquires a good name. Kanaliatzmo is one who acquires it for himself. Kanalo Divrei Torah, and one who acquires the words of the Torah. Kanalochaye, Hayolim, Haibar, acquires for himself life in the world to come. It's an extraordinary Mishnah text, and beautiful. Let's look at it a little bit closer. Hua Yomer, he used to say, the more flesh, he who puts on a lot of weight through excessive eating and drinking, well, the more worms he's going to attract in his grave after death. Alternatively, even when one is alive, he attracts worms, so to speak, alliteratively, by the diseases that visit him because of his overindulgence, his insatiable appetite for more and more, because of his overindulgence in delicacies and life's worldly pleasures. The more possessions and treasures one accumulates, the more worry he's going to have, because he's got to stand guard on it, looking behind his shoulder all the time to guard his wealth from losses and robbery. Because as it says in Ecclesiastes 5:12, riches kept for the owner thereof to his hurt. The more wives, the more magic and sorcery, which is, there's quite a bit of interpretation there. As at that time they believed that women essentially engaged in witchcraft, so to speak. Alternatively, because each wife will try to find favor in a man's eyes to attract him with magic. The more maid-servants, the more unchastity, the more men-servants, the more robbery and thievery, and the male and female servants were more or less prone to lewdness and deceit at that time, so they say. There were 5 things Canaan commanded his sons: love one another, love robbery, love lewdness, hate your masters, and never speak the truth. Well, that's a pretty extreme thing to tell your kids. You have to beware of these kinds of habits, and beware of the people who have been taught to engage in such outrageous types of behavior, instructed by their ancestors. It's a terrible thing. So this Mishnah reverses that. The Mishnah presents the following pattern: that if a man begins by grooming himself, eating and drinking, he puts on weight, and then he strives to increase his possessions. Once he gets rich and he's able to support several wives, well, he becomes polygamous. Each woman needs personal attention. He acquires a host of maid-servants, and he's thus increased his household. Well, he needs fields now, and he needs vineyards to have wine and food, and an array of men servants to till the fields, and subsequently it leads to trouble for him. However, here's where a more modest life, the simple life, demonstrates clearly that it's this is a good thing. Torah, the more Torah one has, the more Torah one studies, then the more life one gains through Torah, as it's written in Proverbs 9:11. For by me your days shall be multiplied, and the years of your life shall be increased. The more sitting with scholars, then the more wisdom you attain. It's gained in worldly matters as well, and you build upon your confidence. Alternatively, this phrase refers to a teacher, or upon the greater the number of students who sit before him, the more wisdom also the teacher can acquire from his students who help him sharpen his mind through their inquiry. Another interpretation of this Mishnah is that the more wisdom, the more sitting in the yeshiva, in the school, in the academy, if the teacher presents his lessons tastefully and sensibly, then many, many more students will sit with him to learn from him. Eitzah marba, the more counsel, the person who does not rely on himself prefers to draw from the wise, which gives him understanding. He gains understanding from the advice given to him. Marbat tzedakah, the more charity, the more peace a person has in their heart. It says in Isaiah 32:17, and the work of righteousness, tzedakah, charity, which also is charity, tzedakah, shall be peace in your heart. That's Isaiah 32:17. Kunashem Tov, he who acquires a good name through the Torah, through wisdom and charity, acquires it for himself. Whereas other acquisitions may be shared with others, a good name belongs to the bearer of the good name. As it says in Ecclesiastes 7:1, a good name is better to be had than great riches, than precious oil or diamonds or rubies. Another explanation is that by the acquisition of a good name, A man acquires his real identity. For without a good name, a man is essentially nobody. He's a mere non-entity. Kana lo divrei, he acquires the words of Torah. Kana lo divrei Torah, acquires for himself life in the world to come. Ha'olam haba. That whoever is privileged to make the Torah his actual possession, whose soul clings to the true basis of life, thereby acquires life in the world to come. Ha'olam haba, the world to come. So we see Avot 2:7, Avot Zayin, Hu ha'yamer, Marba Besur, Marba B'rimah, Marba Nechasim, Marba De'agah, Marba Nashim, Marba Cheshafim, Marba Shefachot, Marba Zimah, Marba Avedim, Marba Gazel, Marba Torah, Marba Chaim, Marba Yeshiva, Marba Chuchma, Marba Eitzah, Marba Tavuna, Marba Tzedakah, Marba Shalom, Kana Shem Tov, Kana Liatzmo. He who acquires a good name acquires it for himself. Kana lo divrei Torah. He who acquires the words of the Torah, Kana lo chayim ha'olam haba, acquires for himself life in the world to come. Thanks for being with me. Until next time, take care of yourself. I'll see you for 2:8.